Have you ever just like wished you could step into one of those like those magical hand-drawn worlds, those Studio Ghibli worlds?
Really, yeah.
Like imagine taking just your normal everyday photos
Hmm.
and like making them look like they're straight out of Spirited Away or something.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool thought, right?
Mm.
And that's actually like what we're going to be diving into today.
Okay.
So we had this source that a listener sent in, the Shiv Official podcast, and they actually did a whole episode on how you can use like AI and stuff to transform your photos into, those gorgeous Ghibli-style images.
Hmm.
It's like super fascinating, the stuff they talked about.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how they really highlighted the accessibility of it all,
Uh,
because in the past, if you wanted to create anything even remotely close to that Ghibli aesthetic, I mean, you needed some serious artistic talent
oh, for sure.
and years of practice, I mean.
Yeah.
But now, thanks to AI, it's like anyone can give it a shot and potentially create something really beautiful.
Totally. So in this deep dive, we're basically going to be your guides,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're going to walk you through the key takeaways from that podcast,
Okay.
kind of break down the process, step by step,
Right.
so that you can understand how to use AI to make your own Ghibli-inspired masterpieces.
Yeah, and what's interesting is like thinking about it in the context of, what we've been discussing on the show about how AI is becoming more than just a tool.
Uh-huh.
It's actually like becoming a partner in the creative process.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty huge shift.
Totally, totally. All right, so before we get into the how-to, like the nuts and bolts of it all, maybe we should just spend a minute talking about what makes that Ghibli style so special.
Right, right.
Like, what is it that makes it so visually captivating?
Yeah, the Shiv Official podcast actually did a great job of breaking down some of those key visual elements.
Okay.
Like, first off, you've got those soft, almost like watercolor-like textures. There's no harsh lines, It feels very organic.
Yeah.
And then the color palettes,
The colors? Oh, my God.
they're so vibrant and warm, but they're never like too overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can't forget about the lighting.
Oh, the lighting.
That dreamy, almost nostalgic glow.
Yes.
Like everything is bathed in this beautiful, soft light.
It just draws you in.
Yeah, and then there are the backgrounds.
Oh, the backgrounds, yeah.
So detailed, so lush, often featuring nature as like a central element.
Oh, yeah. Think of Totoro, right?
Exactly. Totoro, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle.
Princess Mononoke. So good.
All of them.
It's like they just transport you to another world.
They do.
And that's the magic that we're trying to kind of replicate here.
Right?
So, according to the podcast, where do we even begin?
Well, their first tip is to leverage AI for art direction.
Okay, AI for art direction. What does that even mean?
So basically, we're talking about using something like Chat GPT to help us create really detailed prompts.
Prompts. Okay.
Yeah, prompts for AI art generators.
Okay, so like instead of just saying a girl in a forest, we give the AI a much more, I guess, descriptive prompt.
Exactly, exactly. The more detail we provide, the better the AI can understand the specific Ghibli aesthetic we're going for.
And the podcast actually had a really good example of a
Yeah.
detailed prompt.
Yeah, they did. It was something like a young girl with short brown hair wearing a blue dress standing in a glowing forest filled with floating fireflies.
Okay.
The background features a large full moon, soft wind-blowing leaves, and a mystical atmosphere painted in Studio Ghibli style.
Wow, that is very specific.
It is.
But I can see how that would be helpful.
Right.
Okay, so once you have that, like super detailed prompt, what's next?
Then you move on to the actual AI image generators.
Okay.
The podcast specifically recommended OpenArt AI.
On the guard AI.
Yeah, it's known for having these pre-trained models.
Files.
Yeah, that are particularly good at creating anime and like Ghibli-esque artwork. So you're giving the AI a head start by using a model that already knows a lot about that specific art style.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do you actually use OpenArt AI? Like, walk me through the steps.
Sure. So first, you just go to their website.
Okay.
And then you take that detailed prompt that you created with, Chat GPT or whatever, and you paste it into the text field.
Yeah.
Then, and this is important, you select an appropriate anime or Ghibli-style model.
Oh, so you're not just relying on the words, you're also kind of guiding the AI stylistically.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you usually have some options to tweak, like the color tone and lighting.
Okay, that makes sense. And then?
Then you just hit generate.
Okay.
And the AI does its magic. It creates an image based on your prompt and the model you selected.
And the podcast mentioned that OpenArt AI allows you to like refine the image even after it's been generated.
Yeah, yeah. So you can add more details to your prompt. Or even like, tweak certain aspects of the image if it's not quite what you envisioned.
So it's not just a one and done thing.
Right.
It's like an ongoing process.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So you've got your initial image,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes AI art can feel a little, I don't know, a little sterile.
Yeah, a little too perfect sometimes.
Right. And that's where the podcast recommended using Grok AI.
Grok AI. Okay, what does that do?
Grok AI is all about enhancing those fine details,
Okay.
making the image feel more organic, more like a hand-drawn Ghibli image.
Okay, so like what specifically does it do?
Well, they mentioned that it can improve the textures to make them look more like, traditional hand-drawn animation. It can enhance the lighting to bring out that warm Ghibli glow we talked about.
Mm.
And it can even sharpen character details while still maintaining that overall soft aesthetic.
Okay, so it's like you're taking the base image from OpenArt AI and then giving it that extra layer of polish.
Exactly. It's about adding that final layer of magic. I like that.
And you typically do this after generating the initial image.
So it's like a two-step process.
It is.
OpenArt AI, then Grok AI.
Right.
Cool. Now, the podcast also mentions some other AI platforms.
Right.
Why would you want to explore those?
Well, each platform kind of offers a different approach
Okay.
and different strengths.
Okay.
So like Deep Dream Generator, for example.
Yeah.
It's really good at adding these really pronounced painterly effects.
Okay.
So if you're going for more of a traditional painted look,
Yeah.
that might be a good option for you.
Okay. What about Runway ML?
Runway ML is more of a suite of tools.
Okay.
It includes things like style transfer, where you can basically teach the AI the style of, say, a collection of Ghibli artwork,
Wow.
and then apply that style to your own photos.
That sounds really powerful, but probably also more complex.
It is more involved, but it gives you a lot of control.
Okay. And then there was Stable Diffusion. Right. Stable Diffusion is another really popular open source AI image generator.
Okay.
And it's really flexible. You can even train your own custom models if you have the technical know-how.
Wow. So like you could potentially create a model that's specifically tailored to generating, like super realistic Ghibli-style images.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
So yeah, there's a whole spectrum of tools out there.
Yeah.
And experimenting is key.
Yeah.
Finding what works best for you, your skills, and your creative goals.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've generated all these beautiful Ghibli-inspired images.
Right.
What do you do with them? Like, how do you take it to the next level?
Well, the podcast talked about setting up like a digital Ghibli studio.
Okay.
So the first step is to create a workspace
Okay.
using something like Photoshop or Canva
That makes sense.
to organize your images, make any additional edits.
Yeah.
And then the podcast talked about some really cool ways to share and even sell your art.
Oh, really? Like what?
So they mention platforms like Etsy for selling prints or digital downloads,
Okay.
Redbubble for creating merchandise with your designs,
That's cool.
and even Fiverr for offering personalized commissions.
Okay.
So like someone could send you their photo and you could transform it into a Ghibli-style portrait for them.
That's a really neat idea.
Yeah, I mean, the appeal of the Ghibli aesthetic is so broad.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a market for that.
Totally. And of course, you could always just print and frame your artwork
Right.
for your own enjoyment.
For your own personal enjoyment.
Create like a little Ghibli gallery in your home.
Exactly.
So basically, from initial prompt to potential income stream, there's a whole journey you can take with these AI tools.
There is.
And it's incredible how accessible it's become.
It really is. What was once only possible for, highly skilled artists
Right.
is now something that anyone can explore.
It's amazing.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
So to recap for our listeners, we've talked about using Chat GPT to create those detailed prompts,
Right.
then using OpenArt AI to generate the initial Ghibli-style image,
Uh-huh.
and then using Grok AI to refine it, add those extra details. And then we even touched on some other platforms like Deep Dream Generator, Runway ML, and Stable Diffusion for those who want to explore even further.
That's a great summary.
And it really highlights how these different AI tools can work together,
Yeah.
each one playing a role in the creative process.
It's a real testament to the power of AI, isn't it?
It is. I mean, to think that with a few steps, You can transform your photos into scenes that look like they're straight out of your favorite Ghibli films.
It is pretty incredible.
It is.
And it makes you think, where is all of this going? Like,
Yeah.
what other creative possibilities will AI unlock in the future?
Right.
It's a really exciting time to be, exploring all of this.
It is. It is. And on that note, here's a final thought for our listeners. Imagine taking your own memories, your own life moments, and turning them into Ghibli-style scenes.
Wow.
Like, what stories could you tell? And it doesn't even have to be Ghibli.
Right.
What other art styles could you explore using AI?
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
They really are. So go out there, experiment, and have fun.
Yeah, dive in.
Who knows? You might just create something amazing.
You might just surprise yourself.
Exactly.